Welcome and thank you for joining us for the Family Resource Center's Working with African American Families 90-minute webinars. Today, you're going to be experiencing in what ways are Family Resource Centers effectively supporting families in the African American communities. You're also going to be able to hear about the challenges, successes, and lessons learned. So today, you are in for a wonderful treat, and we can't wait for you to experience what family resource centers are doing working with African American families. My name is LaDonna Collins, and I am the senior training and standards implementation manager for the National Family Support Network, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. If you are joining us online, you may listen directly through your computer speakers. If you have joined via the phone number that Zoom provided, your line has been muted to minimize any background noise that we might have. For those of you online, please note the link to the Dropbox in the folder. Here you will see that there are some handouts that will be made available for you for download. In addition, you may put questions in the question section at any time. The chat section is open for you to include any comments during the webinar, but we ask that you direct all of your questions to the Q&A section of the Zoom. We do have live tech that is available to support you in the room. So if you have any technical issues, please reach out to them in the chat. Today's PowerPoint, the handouts, and a recording of this webinar will be available on the NFSN website on the Wednesday webinar page this time tomorrow. When you exit the webinar, an evaluation will automatically appear on your screen. We ask that you take a moment to complete this as it provides us with a valuable feedback to inform us of future webinars. So we do have a poll question for you right now. So if our tech would please pull up our polls. The first poll is, where are you joining us from? Are you joining us from the Northeast, the South, the Midwest, the West, Canada, or any other international locations? Where are you joining us from? So I can tell that you're joining us. We have a lot of people joining us from the South. We also have people joining us from the South area, the Midwest. Yes, so West. So the majority of you are joining us from the South. So welcome to those that are in the South, also from those from the Midwest. 15% from the West, as well as another 15% from the Northwest. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Now we want to know another poll question. What is your affiliation? Do you work for a family resource center, a family resource center network? Are you other family support program, a parent leader, early care and education? Are you with the education system? Maybe you're a private funder, you're with the government, or child welfare. Let us know your affiliation. All right, your responses are coming in. So it looks like we have 34% of you are from family resource centers, 16% are family resource centers networks, and our other 9% are from the family support program. But we do have 22% of you that have joined us from the government child welfare, as well as another government entity, as well as education. So the great thing about this is that we are a room full of people who love what we do, and we're representing so many different affiliations that's going to bring so much value to the children that we work with and the families that we work with on a daily basis. Thank you all so very much for joining us. And we're so excited to get decided into today's webinar. We do have one more poll question for you. So Another poll question that we have for you is, how familiar are you with family resource centers? Not familiar at all, somewhat familiar, familiar, or very familiar. We'll go ahead and pull that poll up for our attendees. Okay. I'm not sure if we can get that poll question to pull up, but another poll question is, does your state have programs that look like family resource centers? Maybe you do. Yes, no, maybe you're not sure. All right, so we'll go ahead and go to our next slide, and we'll share a little bit about the National Family Support Network. So, over the last decade, the National Family Support Network has quadrupled in size to now have 41 member networks, 40 states, and DC. This represents more than 3,000 family resource centers that serve over 2 million people annually. The newest member, let's give a shout out to Wyoming, who joined us in September, and Iowa, who joined us in December. So, the vision of the National Family Support Network is almost like turning the whole map green so that all the families will have access to quality family support services in their community, provided by family resource centers, supported by strong networks. The mission of the National Family Support Network is to promote positive outcomes for all children, families, and communities by leveraging the collective impact of state family resource center networks and champion quality family support and strengthening practices and policies. So we have great work that we're doing it, and we're doing it with your support. So if you can see, the areas that we focus on with the National Family Support Network is number one, we are connecting and convening member networks to enhance their effectiveness. So this means increasing connectedness amongst members for peer learning and mutual support. We're also promoting family support best practices and evaluation. So, what we're doing is we're raising that awareness of what quality family support is and promoting a common language, standards, and an evaluation of it through the national implementation of the standards of quality for family strengthening and support. Finally, we're raising that visibility of the value and impact that family strengthening and support networks bring. So, in order to do this, we have to strengthen and increase the support that we provide for the families. So, here's an overview of what you're going to experience today. I'm going to share a little bit more with you about family resource centers. Then, we're going to have the Liberation Family Resource Center from Richmond, Virginia, share some information with you. And then, we're going to have the East Liberty Family Resource Center from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, share with you about their information. Then, we're going to have the National Family Support Network. We're going to talk about our resources and opportunity, and then you're going to finish up with an evaluation. So, a little bit more with you about family resource centers. Thousands of family resource centers have emerged organically across the country, yet their existence is still largely under the radar as America's best kept secret. A family resource center is a community or a school based hub welcoming hubs of support, such as services and opportunities designed to support families to be strong as well as to be successful. They may be community based, like the image on the left of a family resource center in Vermont, or they might be school based, like the image you see on the right from Kentucky. They may be in rural settings, like the image that you see on the left that's in Colorado, or in urban settings, like the image on the right of a family resource center in the Bronx in New York City. Wherever they are, FRCs work with families with an approach that is not only two generational, but multi generational, strength based, and family centered. Each of these components is important. For example, for the multi generational, have you heard of the two generation or the two gen work? Well, family support is original, not just two gen. but multi-gen work as programs work with children, parents, and grandparents as well. Then we look at strength based. We think about strength based because we see families as having strengths that we want to support. Then we think about being family centered because everything we do has families at the center. They're designed for all families, not only low income or highly challenged ones, so the support they provide is non stigmatized and it makes it more accessible to everyone. And program is provided at no cost or low cost for participants. So the image that you see on the right is of a family success center in New Jersey. There are 57 family successes across all of the state's 21 counties. Each county has at least one, and typically from that one family success center, that includes highly affluent counties as well as highly challenged counties. Because again, the belief is that all families could benefit from access to support for two of the most important roles that we have as adults, and that's being parents and being spouses or partners. So, two of the most important roles we could have for which we typically receive no support or no training. Hence, the value of universal access to our family resource centers. So, by a show of hands, how many of you have heard of the protective factors frameworks before today? So it seems like a good deal of you are familiar with those protective factors framework. So they come from the Center for the Study of Social Policy, and research has shown that in these five protective factors, they increase family stability, enhance child development, and reduce child abuse and neglect. So, as we're working with the families, we want to support them to build these protective factors because we know that they make a positive difference. And if you can see, if you look at the review the factors, you'll note that it's on the cssp.org website that you can refer to yourself. So, as conveniently located hubs, FRCs, they bundle and co-locate many services that may be familiar to you, such as a home visiting, evidence-based parenting education, health screenings, play groups, fatherhood programs, family counseling, and food banks. So, but despite their organic development and varying funding streams across the country, there's a remarkable similarity in most common service areas. These are the top four based on research provided by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. So let's look at those in more detail. We look at the parenting support, which exists on a continuum from lighter touch to more intensive services. Then access to those resources, which also exist on a continuum from lighter touch to a more intensive services. Then we looked at activities focused on supporting children, healthy development. And then finally, those activities supporting parent leadership development, such as that parent advisory committee. And FRCs not only provide programs, but they build communities of peer support for families to develop social connections that reduce isolation and stress, which are highly correlated with child abuse and neglect. So here now we have a picture of all of our presenters. If you can see, we have Mr. Marcel Boyd with the Liberation Family Resource Center, Pilar Waters, who is also with the Liberation Family Resource Center. We also have Ebony Glover Epps. She is with Families Forward Virginia. We have Nia House that's with the East Liberty Center, as well as Paul Taylor, who's here with us from the Virginia League for Safer Streets. We have Dana Jones, who is with us as the program coordinator for the East Liberty Center. And then we have Joshua McKinley, who is with us through the East Liberty Family Resource Center. So we have a slew of people that are going to be here with us today to share their valuable insights on working with African American families. All right, so now we'll have our first presenter up with the the Liberation Center.
Thank you so much, LaDonna, and so also to the National Family Support Network for allowing us the time today to even talk to you all about supporting African American families and what we do here at Liberation Family Resource Center in Richmond, Virginia. So as LaDonna just stated, you're going to hear from several people with us today in Virginia, which is myself. I'm the executive director here at the Liberation Family Resource Center. Pilar Ortiz Waters, which is our family success coordinator, and also navigator, excuse me, and Ebony Glover Epps, which is also with us, and she is our funder and our supporter through Families Forward Virginia. And also Paul Taylor, or Taylor Paul, which is with one of our key partners that we support on a weekly basis with the Family Resource Center. So as we look about who we are at the Liberation Family Resource Center, we are located in Richmond, Virginia, right in the heart of the city on the south side. We are one of the very first resource centers across the state, and we are the very first one in the whole entire city of Richmond. And our purpose and our mission is to focus on helping families, limited wealth communities. So looking at our marginalized communities and really helping to focus on how we can have them go from just surviving to thriving, and to reduce the incident of child abuse and neglect, and emphasize the success and well-being of our families. And our core beliefs, we believe that we want families to really thrive from the Family Resource Center, and go from healing and thriving families to lead to healing and thriving children and communities. And we can see that on the next slide. And then community services serves families in nearby neighborhoods. We really support our nearby neighborhoods that we support. How do we get there? So we can make sure that we are reflecting the communities in which we serve. So we support multiple generations living under one roof and respects the support of diverse family definitions and structures. So how do we really think about, kinship care and other ways that we are able to actually look at how we do what we do every day? So some of our key principles and how we run, and this is all going to talk to you on how we even get to building trust with our African-American families, and to really understand in our communities and demographics that we serve. All of our key principles with the Liberation Family Resource Center is we're family-centered. All of our plans are tailored to each family's unique situation and driven by their priorities and strengths. So they drive the conversation and we build a plan around them. We're collaborative. We sat down with them and we have the conversation, and the participants and the families are in the center of everything we do, and we partner with them. So our partners are called partners and not clients on purpose, because that's the way that we build trust with our partners. And we're resource oriented. We identify and utilize both internal and external resources to support our family's goals. So you'll hear a little bit, as you hear Taylor Paul talk a little bit about how some of the resources that we actually will talk through. And we're flexible and responsive. We believe that we have to continue to be able to tailor and adapt to our families. So some of the things LaDonna talked about, where we're building our centers, we have families that come in from all of the spectrum, from marginalized to wealthy. And then confidential and respectful. We do everything with dignity and respect. So this structure is flexible, and it helps us to be able to support all of our families in achieving a definition of success, providing them with the tools and resources necessary for sustainable change. So how did we get here? So we built this with our community in mind, and our community had a lot to be able to say. So the next slide, you'll see where we're able to talk through our census tract. Our census tract was created for us by the College of William and Mary, which support us heavily with the support of the Family Forward Virginia team. So if you wonder, people as in family, so how do we build our Family Resource Center? So we started out with some research, just was data-based. So 49.8% of our families are identified as Hispanic or Latino, compared to the statewide average of 8.19%. We also have 30.14% of our people identify as Black or African American, compared to the state average of 18.6%. So you think about, if you're building your Family Resource Center and how we can really cater, our Family Resource Center should reflect the communities in which we serve. And you can see a lot of the other statistical data that goes into this. So people are foreign born, and that's not just from Hispanic and Latinx communities, but we also have people that are from Africa and other parts within our footprint. And then people that speak another language other than English is 53.7%. And then you look at the financial parts. 59.46% of our people fall 200% under the poverty line, compared to the state average of 23.22%. So we go through each one of these parts and we look at the financials of 17.1 of those people make 75,000 plus, compared to the state average of 53%. And the household median income is 45,000, compared to the state average of 111,000. So As we build programming, if we think about how we're going to do things within the Family Resource Center, all of the things that we do is tailored around how we look at our census tract and building it with the communities that we serve in mind. And we talk about insurance, housing, and education, which Pilar talk a little bit of how we dug deeper, even more into those actual resources when she starts to speak to you all today. So with that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to Pilar to talk about where we began.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pilar, and if we look at where we began, I started here at this resource center last April. And one of the first things I heard from Families Forward was, which I loved, was this is something that we're building with the community, not for the community. We're in no place to tell anyone what they need or what their priorities are. So that was one of my first goals as I came on board, was to survey the community to find out what did they want to see in their resource center. This is a huge building. It's a hub in the community. So we wanted to do it right. And a lot of times with the communities that we work with, we've got one chance to get it right because we need to build that trust. We need to show that we're here for them. We're not just checking things off of a box. We're here to build a center that's for the community truly. So through conversations, through surveys at a thrift store that we have connected to the Family Resource Center through Liberation Center, and a food pantry that we have open every Tuesday and Thursday here in the building. And just getting out and talking to the community, we evaluated about 170 people, and asked them what did they want us to bring to the center. We had the options that you see under ranking of activities from highest to lowest priority. And these were the results of the survey, with employment and financial stability at the top, educational support next, and health and wellness activities as the third priority. Other priorities that were listed, we had some free space where people could write in what they wanted to see if they didn't see what they wanted as an option. And we actually got a lot of feedback that we have implemented and we're currently implementing through Liberation Counseling Services as our partner. We can provide therapeutic resources, family counseling, marriage counseling, individual mental health care, resources for those facing domestic and sexual violence, housing support, and crime and violence prevention. And on the right, we also asked them, what do they think of when they hear the term Family Resource Center? To a lot of the community, it wasn't something that they knew what it was about. But for some, they told us what they wanted it to be. And they told us that they wanted a place that offers support for all ages, multi-generational, just like we've been talking about. And they started listing some of their needs, some of their immediate needs, like clothing, childcare. And really the goal was to create a one-stop shop here in the building. I would love if everyone could come and visit and see the building and the potential that we have here. It's a huge space. We have a lot of opportunity. And we wanted to create a place where if they came here to see us, we wouldn't have to send them anywhere else. We would bring resources here to the building so that this would be their hub, this would be their support center. And below at the final section, you see that it says, when asked why they would visit an FRC, the most common answers were to get help offered by its resources, to direct a family or a loved one. And number 3, last but not least, and I'll speak a little bit about this, as a recreational or community center. So when we saw the results of the survey, you see that number 4 in the top section says family activities and programming, and number 3, it says as a recreational or community center. Now, if you look at that, some people might think, who just don't know, that means that that's not important to these families, but that is quite the contrary. We all learned about the hierarchy of needs, and we have to take care of ourselves. We have to get those basic needs met before we can think about bigger things, right? But that didn't mean that we didn't want to create a center where we brought fun and we let families know that through fun, we can get resources We can work on our health and wellness. We can work on family resiliency and all those protective factors that are so important. And we tell our clients, that our partners, not clients, a lot of times that they have to put on their oxygen mask first. They have to take care of themselves first before they can take care of all the other people in their circle. And continuing with that, if we go to the next slide, we have a list of community leaders that we also brought to the table once we had the results of these surveys so that we could all partner together to, how we can best bring this to reality. You'll see a list of a variety of different leaders and where they're from, focusing on education, preschool, child abuse and neglect, the prevention of that with Greater Richmond SCAN. YMCA of Greater Richmond, we actually have in the building an in-house preschool for 2 to 5-year-olds, which is fantastic because we have a bus stop right in front of the building. So it makes it very easy for families that might have transportation barriers. And we wanted to involve, as you see, Swansboro Elementary, Richmond School for the Arts, Communities and Schools. These are all local schools in the area that many of our partners' children attend or they attended themselves. So we wanted to definitely have those community leaders involved in the forming of our resource center. On the next slide, you see that this reflects, we're seeing that the needs of the community actually reflect what they said that they wanted, which is great because that's what we're doing. So we're focusing on employment and job training, which was also the highest priority as on the survey. Food security is huge. We are in a food desert in this area. So the food pantry is a wonderful resource. We see about 500 individuals a week, and that is 2 days a week. And that equates to about 800 or 900 families a week. So it's huge. We're open 2 days a week. And through the pantry, it is our main point of entry, I would say. We provide diapers through a partnership. We provide period products. Because if you need food, if you're standing in a line, and this is a very popular food pantry in the area, if not, maybe the top most visited. If you need food, you probably need a lot of other things too, right? So we take the time while people are standing in line. Now, mind you, the pantry doesn't open until 2 o'clock, but some people get in line as early as 9 o'clock in the morning because they want to get their food. So we take the opportunity to talk to them while they're in line, which builds trust. We try any immediate needs that they may have, we try to get those met. And if we can't, then we invite them to come back for a more in-depth meeting with us into the building so they can start to see this not just as a food pantry, but also, again, as their support, as their safe place, as their hub to come and the one-stop shop. And then finally, with number 3, we are taking care also of their financial stability. We have a client benefit pool that we can sometimes help with bills and utility expenses. And if we cannot, then we will always present them with resources that may be able to help them. If we go to the next slide, it is the current state, the reflection again of the priorities that the community came up with. These are the partners these are what our partners are, some of the issues and the barriers that they face. If you look at the homelessness through our We Care surveys, many people, because of their financial insecurity, are saying that they feel at risk of becoming homeless. And a lot of the people that we encounter already have eviction notices on their door or are literally days away from being out on the street. And we try through our resources, again, to keep that from happening. And if it does, then we step in and try to find them secure housing as quickly as we can. 31% of our partners say that they don't always have enough food to feed their family. So not only do we have the food pantry, but if there is a barrier to come, whatever it may be, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, We also offer personal shopping appointments, so they can come and personally shop. Again, that talks about the dignity and respect that we are always, always sure to treat every one of our partners with. And we're very, it's very important to us to offer that choice. Just because they're hungry doesn't mean that they're going to eat anything we give them that's packed in a box. It's very important to us that they get to choose. They come in, it's a very respectful opportunity for them to pick what they want for their family. And that also is helpful in dealing with different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds. They get to pick what they want to eat. Heat and electricity, we have 34% of our partners say they have difficulty paying their heat or electricity bills, and then 31% of our partners are unemployed. Again, we have resources for all of these barriers. And then on the final slide for me, which is the next current state, you'll see that 19% of our partners do not have a high school degree, 19% need daycare. There are transportation barriers, and there really is a lack of after-school activities in this area. And that's something that we want to work with in work on in the coming years here at the Resource Center. So we have partnerships for education. We have a partnership with the Read Center, which is an adult literacy center, and many of our partners have gone to take classes, literacy classes, also computer literacy and some math literacy. And with transportation, again, we do have a bus stop in front of the building, but sometimes if they need to come, like, we will always, try to get them here through an Uber, or we'll try to work with friends and family that can bring them. And then through daycare and after school, we do have the YMCA on site. So it's a lower percentage than the previous slide, but it's just as important. These are barriers that can really make a difference in a family's success to get them to thrive. So, just because it's 9% or 19% doesn't mean it's not as important as the previous number. So that's it for me for now.
Thank you so much, Pilar. And as you all can see, that we have really taken the time to really do some really deep diving and focusing with our community over the last year in our implementation phase of our Family Resource Center. And as we go into execution, we are now really considering all of the data, what has happened. And as what the data Pilar just shared with you all, is all through our We Care surveys and letting our partners know that we care about them and really focus on their immediate needs, and then deep diving in with their family success plan to really take them through the whole continuum of care with us from 9 months to about a year. So now we have the wonderful Miss Ebony Glover Epps with us from Families Force Virginia, that has literally been with us since the beginning of us starting this journey, and all of the great work that she's done to really build the lived experience leaders across the state. And we found it so important to involve Families Forward Virginia and what they've done with lived experience leaders, because they've helped us to dive into how we are going to actually implement and have implemented our lived experience leaders, Flex leaders, here at the Liberation Family Resource Center. So Ebony, over to you.
Thank you so much, Marcel and Pilar. I appreciate you. So what we know personally and professionally is that having access to resources matter. The FRCs in Virginia are located in the communities where the services are implemented. And we take into consideration challenges like transportation and highlighting diversity. We're intentional about supporting Virginia's FRC legislators to being reflective of the communities that they serve. Pilar and Marcel did a great job at exhibiting what one of our FRCs look like. It's very diverse. Their FRC legislators really reflect the community that they serve, because we hear things like representation matters, right? So we want to recognize and understand the need to represent the communities that we serve. People are sometimes more comfortable with speaking and sharing with people who look like them, who live in their communities or who understand their culture. So in Virginia, every FRC is unique because it actually depicts the community that it serves. Just like Marcel and Pilar mentioned, the communities are encouraged to co-design and co-create services. So we don't just say, we know you need these services and we're going to offer them to you. We go onto the community, we build those relationships, we talk to people, we make sure that our staff are diverse so that we're welcome in all the communities that we try to go into. But most importantly, we make sure the communities know that their voices are valuable, because without their voices, we weren't able to do the work that we need to do. So for FRCs of Virginia and Lex leaders, diversity is a requirement and is valuable, so that we can continue doing the great work that we do. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Marcel.
Thank you so much, Ebony. And as you all can see, everything that Ebony just talked about, the mission statements, and we really have taken everything that Ebony talked about and continued that work within our resource center here in Richmond, across the state. And in the next slide, you'll actually see how we've been able to implement that, as Ebony said, with our actual lived experience leaders being of diverse backgrounds. So lived experience leaders, of course, have lived experience. So they are the bread and butter of what we do. Me and Pilar could not exist without them. So we have Paula Hill, which is our housing and benefits coach. You have Daniela Molina, which is our financial empowerment coach. You have Margaret Wade, which is our outreach and family coach. Robin Fisher, which is our child well-being coach. And then on the next slide, you'll see we continue on, and this is also from the voice of our community, where we have Kayla Chambers with our health and wellness career and workforce development coach, and Sam Afsugo, which is our outreach and family coach, and Jamon Blunt, which is our fatherhood and family resiliency coach. So as you can see, we really take the time to really model our community that we serve with the diversity, not just from us, meaning me as the executive director, as being an African-American, Pilar being of the Latinx community, Hispanic American, to be able to reflect our demographics, but also within our Lex leaders as well. And we thought it would be important for you all to hear kind of sort of what we've done in our implementation phase and hear a missional moment. So I'm going to let Pilar take you all through what that looks like and feel like on the next slide.
Yeah, so if we start with January, I want to talk about a family that we met at the beginning of the year, who now we can celebrate and, talk about what a great success it has been, after 7 months. And we will continue to work with them, but after 7 months of working with them to accomplish all the goals that they said they wanted to accomplish. So in January, we met a single mom and her 5 children. They were displaced due to a domestic violence situation. They were facing eviction and complete uncertainty about where they were going to go and what their future was going to look like. So we connected with them, and we sat down and we talked with mom about what were her goals. We listened, we let her vent and talk about what was going on and how stressed she was and how she was worried about the children, and just let her talk. Then we let her know what we could do. We told her that we were going to partner with her and that we were going to come up with long-term solutions and also some short-term solutions, because we've learned that when we meet a family in crisis, a lot of these families are so used to hearing that you're going to get help, we're going to help you, and then nothing happens. So one of the things that I try to always do is to let them walk away with something. So if you look in the blue above initial support and parenting, you see it says the family receives immediate support to address basic needs. This can be food through the pantry, diapers through our partnership with Little Hands RBA, period products through our partnership with Sylvia's Sisters. Clothing, we get clothing donations, and also through the thrift store, through a voucher program that we work on with them. They can walk away with clothes. So yes, we were working on a long-term plan with her to get her into stable housing, but we also wanted her to walk away with some basic needs being met. And March and April is when things really got going, and the family began accessing vital services that you can see underneath. Medicaid and TANF, the food pantry continued to come and get food for her and her children, who were at this time in a hotel, all of them in one room in a hotel. So we wanted to make sure that they had healthy food to eat, not just anything out of the vending machine or fast food. Her car, she had a full-time job. So it's not like some stereotypes that our communities face, where if you're out of a home that you're not working. No, she was working a full-time job at a local hospital, and still couldn't afford to, you know, provide for her children because after this crisis that she faced, her car was failing. So through a partnership, we got her car fixed. We got her connected to domestic violence support, mental health services through our partnership with Liberation Counseling Services. And most importantly, we have to always keep in mind child well-being and the joy. It's not just about sad things. So we can also have fun and have joyful moments. You'll see in the next slide that we were able to plan a birthday party for her twins. And this was in our space here. Partnership with an organization called Celebrate RVA, which focuses strictly on birthday parties for disadvantaged youth. They came and they had an amazing time. Spider-Man, Ariel, it was wonderful. It was amazing. Bouncy house, everything. So even though we're helping mom, the kids are still in the hotel. We wanted to focus on the joy. We continue to support through comprehensive services. We've remained consistent. And 6 months later, she was able to move into her home. So I wanted to share this mission moment with you. It's one of our favorite stories. It's a successful story. Now mom is volunteering with us. Her kids come to our playroom. We have a playroom when kids can be dropped off when parents are coming to workshops and seminars. They know us well. We know them well. One of our Lex leaders, Daniela, has built a wonderful relationship with the children, and it's just great. It's one of my favorite stories to share.
Yeah, and thank you, Pilar, for that missional moment. That's one of many, many that we've had in a short period of time. But as you all can think about, if you go back even looking at the Lex leaders and the coaches, all of those coaches wrapped around our partner, our family, to make sure that she had everything she needed. And through the comprehensive supports of listening, deep listening to what she was saying to us, we were able to bring what she needed into mind. And that was just the immediate need. Now we're continuing to work with her on all the other goals that she may have to do to sustain living in a valuable, thriving environment. So with that being said, in the missional moment, we are very intentional of creating a very healthy and positive partnerships. And one of the things that we do have the opportunity to do is we have a basketball league that actually plays here every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm going to let Taylor Paul be able to take you all through all the great things that they do with RVA League for Safer Streets and how we work together collaboratively. But I am extremely excited to say of all of the gentlemen that do come, I would say 90 to 95% of them are African-American males. And we have now invented the whole fatherhood initiative as well as a result to the community and the things that we've learned through working in partnership with RVA League for Safer Streets. So Taylor Paul, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, sir.
I appreciate that, Marcellus, and good to see you as always. First of all, man, I would just like to, thank everybody in this family network, man, for doing everything that you're doing, every location. Haven't have the privy of, getting to know a lot of people that are on the call, but I'm sure that your story is just as impactful as what I'm about to share with you. I have to be totally transparent, man. It wouldn't be in my bag if I did not be transparent with you. I usually don't get on calls like this because I'm a person that's been system impacted, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I've been home about 7 years now, and I've come to learn in a short amount of time that there are a lot of organizations that are predatory to the common folk in my community, that say they're going to do some things but really don't get the work done. And I like to just share this quote that I heard a man once say. He said that this world would not be destroyed by evil, but by those who sit back and do nothing. And my soul tells me I'm on a call with a group of people that are not amongst those that do nothing, those that sit on the sideline. I want to also make something clear in what she just talked about when she was talking about the data component, and that's really, really super important, especially the percentages. But percentages don't always measure true outcomes, especially for those of us and whom are inside of these communities every single day, again, amongst the common folk. I don't come with a plush office or the likes of that. Again, I'm a person who's been system impacted. And while I'm on the inside, I facilitated all of the state mandated programs in the DOC, making its cognitive re-entry community the number one site in the system. And I paroled to Richmond. with an idea with a partner of mine by the name of Jawad Abdul, who passed away about 5 years ago, and a man by the name of Robert Morris, in whom is the commissioner. Me and Jawad wanted to come home and eradicate some of the social ills that we helped create. And we wasn't just talking about the gun violence inside of our community. We also was talking about in our very own household. You see, a lot of fathers today are raising guns better than they're raising their own children. And we wanted to come home and get out in front of that. We wanted to come home and be those fathers or be those examples after that lived experience or that paradigm shift happened for us during the length of incarceration. Our model with our league is not your typical midnight basketball league, and I refute anybody that comes and think that we're some typical midnight basketball league. We're more than that. Our motto is no workshop, no jump shot, meaning before our gentlemen get on the court. I don't care what communities they come from, whether that's Jackson Ward projects or that's Creighton or that's Mosby or any of the housing project or the high crime areas and that's prevalent to gun violence in our cities. All of them have to get in the stands together. And we have that workshop on conflict resolution, problem solving, and critical thinking, or whatever the hot topic of the city is. And we don't care what that hot topic may be. Most of the time, it's surrounded by gun violence. We also have a partnership with the Richmond Police Department. They've been with us since 2007, and they also have a team in the league. Now, I must tell you, they don't win a lot, but I don't have them inside of my league for them to teach us about them. I have them so they can learn more about us. Now, I want to give you a firm understanding of what this community engagement looks like with Marcellus, and that's because I must admit, again, I'm real protective of the demographic that we have. We run 12-week session. In each session, we have close to 250. In this session, almost 300 African-American males from 16 to 300, I mean, to 30 or plus. And a lot of them are fathers. Meaning that when they're on the court running ball, I've watched this team of resources at Liberation Church come and engage the families while they're running ball. I watched them give supplies, to some of my players, where they might need childcare, Pampers and diapers and food and clothing and health and wellness, all of the things that you want. But I want to tell you something even how deeper that this go. My basketball league, as I said, target those that are more impacted by gun violence. We lose players. And I'll give you an example. Last session that we lost a player by the name of Trey. And Trey was a kid that loved to be inside of this facility playing ball and enjoying the camaraderie of people from other places and things that you don't get outside of Richmond if you're not from certain neighborhoods. But inside of this controlled environment where there's nothing but a synergy of love, where everybody understands that the whole of us is greater than any one part. When we lost Trey and his family, was struggling for some things, it was Liberation and its resource center that wrapped their arms around them and made sure they had some of the things that they needed. And that was just one player. Another player we had that was shot and needed a different place to live. It was Liberation and this resource center that was on deck, trying their best to help them find a new location for housing. You see, you don't get this everywhere. See, a lot of people are talking with Mayor Lipkin-Fesson, but here was a place, man, that I found that put their money where their mouth is. And I'm not talking about the money in it, if you would think as currency. Because what Liberation and its resource center understands is that people are the currency. And they're all invested. When I say that I'm very protective, I don't let anybody inside to talk to this demographic because they talked about that trust component where they trust us. They trust VA Lead for Safer Streets when it comes to telling us that they have substance abuse problems or they're having child care problems or they're having, thoughts of not wanting to be in this world anymore, meaning suicidal tendencies. Well, we have some partners that's going to help us all the way down to substance abuse. There is not a stone unturned inside of this resource center, and they're only going to get better. And I'm going to feel confident in directing my community to this particular resource. I'm talking about those back areas where people refuse to go. Only when people come when they want to get a photo op. Or when people come when there's a homicide and the news camera's there and they want to come and get on the news and talk about how bad this community is. Well, not so this Liberation. And we're in community with this organization. And if I trust them, then my demographic trusts them. If I say they good, they good. But even if I wasn't in this space and someone was able to point them towards this particular resource center, then I think they'll get everything that they wanted to get. And that's the beauty of it. I've never seen them turn nobody away. Now, again, I am very protective. And as I led off, there are so many people in this work that are predatory, meaning that I can send a person somewhere with previous experience and they got this person's information and social security and gave them a bus pass and sent them somewhere else without giving the work, but definitely use that data to get more funding. Not so liberation. This is real talk that I'm giving you guys right now, man, because it's all that I know. And I'm going to always be transparent because my community, a community in which I hurt once a time before, but now again wanted to come home and eradicate some of the social ills that I helped create. And I'm so grateful and blessed by God to have a community and be in partnership with a group of individuals who my soul recognized as liking inside of them. And I hope that you all are so fortunate to have an entity such as. I appreciate you and thank you so much for allowing me to share that. I just want to close by saying this. You heard Marcella say that he's in the upper echelon of this community. Let me tell you about a man that's security/janitor by the name of Jerry. I'll tell you how far this goes from the top to the bottom of synergy, meaning that the whole of us is greater than any one part. Jerry knows pretty much all of my players. Jerry engages. Jerry is around. And Jerry has a few things to say too, man, that help us. And I don't want to leave that part out of this conversation. Even the very smallest people, you may think the smallest people that clean up the restrooms and the clean the floors of the gymnasium and the likes of that and run security is not important. Not so here at Liberation in this resource center. So I end you by saying, a wise man once said that the bond between a strong community, family relationships is like parts of a house. And he said that one part strengthens the other. And to illustrate what he did, he done his hands as so. This is liberation. This is VA Lead for Safer Streets. And this is community engagement. This is family networking. Thank you guys for allowing me to share that.
Thank you so much, Paul. And wow, I think that you've taken us all out because of your relationship. But I can't explain this partnership and how important a partnership is in building that trust and making sure that we as a Family Resource Center are truly exhibiting exactly what it is and what our role of our Lex leaders are. And I think
Hey,
Paul took all of that with.
So,
I think Paul took us through each part of that. So our
can
role
you
of
hear
our
me?
Lex leaders, the role of our Lex leaders are
Marcellus, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, so I just want to say something real quick, because and I know that the person did not mean.
Paul, we can't hear you. It's
Oh, did he drop? Okay, there you
there you go. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I
Okay.
just wanted to share something real quick. And I know that the person who may have said this meant it in a great way, meaning a keeper of the guard when they said that the trust of the gatekeeper. Paul Taylor, you are the gatekeeper. Inside of my community, a gatekeeper is not of the person that will hinder people from these resources. So I just wanted to make that clear. When you're using that inside of the community, that is a word that goes against the grain of a person of the work that I do and a person of the work that we all do. That is a word that goes against the grain. So, but I know exactly what you mean in this space. So thank you so much, Miss Collins, for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. And yeah, and it's all about that trust and making sure that you are you are making sure that you're standing up. So as we close today, I just want to make sure you all know that these are all the things that we do in support of our FRC and how we support our African-American communities. And some key takeaways are also inside the PowerPoint that you all can look at some best practices to make sure that you all are able to support all the families that you serve. And the biggest thing that I can tell you is representation, inclusivity, authenticity, collaboration, mutual goals, sustainability, and advocacy. If you can do those things along with the other things you can see in the key takeaways, you will be able to continue the work that we're doing here in Richmond as we continue to grow and build as we learn more too from our communities. Thank you. LaDon, I'm turning it back over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marcel, Ebony, and Mr. Paul Taylor. This has been absolutely amazing thus far. We have one more Family Resource Center that has expertise, and it is the East Liberty Family Resource Center. So I'm going to pass it over to their first presenter. We are moving right along on time. So we have right at an hour before, well, actually right at 30 minutes before we finish up with you today. So we're going to go through these slides, and I know you're going to be able to share the most important tips that you have to share about how you effectively work with African-American families in the East Liberty Family Resource Center. So Dana, I would like to pass it over to you. Thank you so very much.
Hello. I don't even know how to come back after all of that, but my name is Dana Jones. I am the program coordinator for the East Liberty Family Center. Also speaking today will be Joshua McKinley, which is my assistant, and Nia Howe, which is a family that participates in our family center. I actually want to start first with the fact that the Family Center is actually located inside the Kingsley Association, which is in the heart of East Liberty. It has a rich history of 130 years of meeting the community where it's at. Their mission is to be the catalyst that fosters youth and community leaders through integral programs and services. You want to move next slide. Our overview of the East Liberty Family Center, our mission for the Family Center itself is to provide safe and neutral environment for all families where governance and collaboration are key. We try to help parents be their personal best and do the best for all their children, their best for their children. Next slide. The population that we serve, so the population itself in the overall East Liberty is actually predominantly white, but the service that we serve is poverty is to the middle class, mostly African Americans. The area where the East Liberty Center is located is predominantly Black. The people that come into the Kingsley Association are not predominantly Black. They are what we service, but we service anybody that wants to use the community. We don't call it a community center, but who wants to use the association. Next slide, please. So how we got started. There was a woman that was just in the community and felt like there was nothing here for the community. So she decided that she wanted to talk to some of the leaders about trying to get started. Something started, a family support center started. She went to DHS, and this was way before me. She went to DHS, spoke to them about trying to get something together. She was with the Head Start program, and then they reached out to the Kingsley Association, and that's how the partnership emerged. And that's how the East Liberty Family Center began its start history inside the Kingsley Association. Next slide, please. The needs of our families are just, we're based out of, because we're based out of the Kingsley Association, and we have resource navigators. We have a hub that's where we sit down at downstairs, and as people come in, we do an intake form on them. The intake form is really just to see what it is that their needs are, which most of these that are listed are the needs that our families are requesting. Mainly important is like transportation, summer programs, the IEPs for their kids, getting information about that, more baby access stuff, food, housing. These are a lot of the things that we assist with. If we can't directly assist them with it, we have resources. We have a 211 number. We have other partnering agencies around the area that we're able to refer our families to and assist them that way. And when I say assist, I don't mean just so much as just giving them the information. We're able to sit down with them. We have a DIC Digital Intervention Center here in the Kingsley Association. If they need to do applications online, if they need to apply for something, if they need a social security card, anything of that access, anything that they need, we are here to assist them with getting those resources that they need as far as home ownership programs. We have programs that we can refer them to try to get them on the right track for their credit repair, anything that they possibly need. Our resource navigators, my staff is 5, so we have 5 people that are here, include myself, that can assist our families in any of these needs that they specifically want to try to get information about. Next slide, please. So our programming here is, so this is just some of the programming that we have, but our Hello Baby starts off with people who have kids who are 0 to 3 months old, just to make sure they have the best quality of life starting out. Because a lot of mothers don't, or if it's their first kid, they have no idea, they have no clue, they don't know what to do. We try to teach them safe sleep. We try to teach them nutritional health. We try to make sure that they know the best thing that they need to do for their baby. And the first thing about breastfeeding, anything that can assist them with that, because we know that they're young. And even if they're not young, some parents are parents that already had kids, but then maybe had a late baby, somewhere along the line. And so because things have changed so much, we want to make sure that they know exactly what they need to do. Like a RIF, we have RIF that comes here. We have a mobile van that comes here that is an engagement for the families. You get on this mobile van and you read to your kids, or they read to them. They have different workshops. They just want to make our families understand that reading to your kids is definitely important at a young age. We have the Men's Fellowship, which I'll let Josh speak on the Men's Fellowship.
Thanks, Dana. So I've been here at the East Liberty Family Center for almost 3 years, and a passion of mine has always been creating a safe space for men to come and to share and to be uplifted, to be empowered, to be equipped. So when I came here, there was a men's program, but it wasn't, there was like 2 people showing up. And then as Marcel and his staff talked about the power of collaboration. So about 2 years ago, I collaborated with Still Smiling, which is an African-American mental health organization here in the Pittsburgh area, who had a men's group also. So we began combining our men's groups, and now we have about 15 to 20 men who come twice a month. We have a topic, then we talk about Black mental health. All the men who attend, they are either African or they are African Americans, including myself. And what we do is in this group, men who don't feel like they have a voice. A lot of the men who attend feel like they've been slighted by the system, to where some men that they haven't seen their kids in 2 to 3 years. And this is a group that supports them, uplifts them, says, how can we come alongside you and just love on you right now in a brotherhood way? One group member says that this is the group is his counseling. We also have a person who is a professional mental health professional who helps lead also, to where she brings great insight into Black mental health, into Black male mental health. And back in February, we did a collaboration event with other men's organizations here in the Pittsburgh area, where we had over 90 men come show up. We did a men's day of self-care where they could be just loved on. Of course, us men, well, everyone loves food, but men, we love food, right? So there was there was amazing food. We had breakout sessions. We had open gym. We had some fitness classes where if you beat someone else in a push-up contest, you won a gift card. And we are hoping to do these Men's Day of self-care at least a year, hopefully twice a year. But the camaraderie of that event has begun this great collaboration event here in the Pittsburgh area, and specifically here on the east end of Pittsburgh, with just a lot of family centers coming alongside each other and saying, how can we help others? We've done a lot of collaborative events with other family centers here, and it has been fantastic. And just we also bring in youth. It has been amazing. In the past couple of months, we've had younger kids come. So, and a lot of the men in our group have a deep passion to impact the future youth of our city. And in an upcoming meeting, we're actually going to plan on having some of the youth come and share with us old folk, just to get their voice out, and then we can share with them possibly some gray hair wisdom that we got. But it is an honor to lead the men's group. It is an honor to be on staff. It's an honor to see our families light up when they come here, or when they get the help needed. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Miss Dana Jones.
Thank you, Josh. And I also wanted to say that, could you go back to that slide? I'm sorry. That even just thinking about Josh speaking on the men's group, I was one of the judges for the activities that the men were doing, which actually I think they were just showing off. But it was really an amazing turnout, because in our eyes, we sometimes we don't see the men come out as much as we do the women. So I'm gonna be honest with you, we had our own little women's thing, and they showed us out, because we only had a few women that came out. But for the men's group, it was an honor to see how many men came through that door and went through all the sessions and all the classes that they had for them. So kudos to that. I did want to highlight, a couple of our main sessions or programs that we do is our kids craft night and our parent advisory. So we do those classes once a month, but the kids craft is a highlight, because to me, it engages the family together. It's not just the kids, it's the parents that are doing some type of craft, some type of activity, something together to get them closer with each other. We also incorporate Common Threads into that group, which does a food demonstration, which also incorporates it all together. It's not a separate thing, which our main goal is to do engagement with our families so that they can have a healthy engagement with each other, and not always being something negative, and show them that there is something else that they can do besides, not being separated, because nowadays a lot of these kids, a lot of families don't really have activities that they do together. To me, they do more, watching TV or be on the video games or things like that. So that's something that's important to me. The advisory council is a parent advisory council of our parents, the parents that come here. They decide what topics that they want us to get speakers on. They decide what they want us to bring to the table. Any different activities they want, they let us know this is what they want, and these are the things that we try to supply for them. Now, over the last year, it has grown tremendously with more people than normal. We are in PA, one of the family centers that has, I'll say, a better parent counselor advisory. I feel like they come to us when they want to know how to start up an advisory. The parent advisors that we have been here for a long time. They've been here longer than I've been here. So I know that they're on the right track and they have the support of each other. We also have the Affinity Circle. Affinity Circle is a holistic approach with for our women to try to make sure that they get what they need. The group meets once a week for 8 weeks, and they get a stipend afterwards, but they make it their business to get here. I also wanted to touch on the Teen Lead. Now, the Teen Lead is not so much as a program for the family support, but some of our families are actually in that. And I really want to touch on that because these are young teens. They have 5 core themes, which is public speaking techniques, life skills, basic cooking, cleaning, hygiene, financial literacy. They help them write checks, balance their checkbook, deposit and withdraw money. They talk about post-secondary preparation for school, for college, job readiness, interviewing skills, mock interviewing. This is something that's important for these young kids because nowadays there's so much going on in this world that you just don't know what direction you go. And we try to give them a positive outlet, somewhere to come, somewhere to be safe, to be able to do what's needed to be done and be okay with it. A lot of our kids, I think sometimes are more resistant when they come, because you're not used to seeing, a guy here, we got more guys than we have women, which before we had more women, which is a good thing because, these young men, I think they try to be tough and don't want to do different things in front of their peers. But you'd be surprised at with this program, how much outcome and how much we poured into them that they really enjoy it. Can you go to the next slide, please? Our parent perspective, I'm going to let Nia talk about some of the things that she enjoys with the Family Support Center.
Hello, my name is Nia Howes. I've been with the Family Support Center probably for about 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. Full transparency and honesty, I had never actually heard of a family resource center until I started working at the Kingsley Association. And that was when I started to learn that they exist all around Pittsburgh. And then this opportunity here is where I learned that they exist further out of Pittsburgh. So that's how I kind of discovered the Family Center. Since being in it, as a parent of a young only child, I enjoy the Family Center because it gives my daughter the ability to be able to be within community, whether it's kids her own age or kids who are older than her. I don't know why, but she seems to attract older kids. But it gives her the opportunity to interact with other kids outside of just her preschool. And so it also gives her the opportunity to kind of do things that we may not have thought to do or have ever done. So like the partnership that they have with Free Tickets for Kids. Around Christmas time, we went to go see the Nutcracker. That's something we probably would have never done if it had not been for those free tickets from the Family Center, just because that's not something that I was necessarily introduced to as a kid. So I didn't really know to introduce my daughter to that. And needless to say, she loved it, loved every single bit of it, to the point where now she wants to be a ballerina. And then also we participate in the Kids Craft program, which is awesome for her because we already do some of the things that they do within that program, like arts and crafts, story time, and then the common threads. We talk to her about nutrition and how to make balanced, healthy snacks, but it's good for her to be able to be a part of that with other children, to see that her mom and dad aren't just forcing her to eat healthy and exercise to a point where she's like the only kid doing it. I know it can sometimes feel like that when your friends in school aren't necessarily doing those same things. So it's been a pleasure to be able to be a part of the Family Center, to experience some of the things we may have never been able to experience, but also give my daughter some more options for community-based interactions. Excuse me. And then also being able to just receive those resources that I may need for her, because I'm newly a single parent. So that's been helpful. To recently, I've been able to acquire some uniforms for my daughter because she's moving into kindergarten, and I'm new to the world of school parenting. So that was extremely helpful to be able to receive those resources. And then just getting general resources about my interests and my profession that I get from my resource navigator is also extremely helpful.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Nia. So we talked about some of our successes, and I would say, our men's group is a success. Grant funding that we receive right now, we're in the process of revamping our whole pool in the Kingsley Association. That's a big, big, big need. Our families here utilize, as far as the pool, the yoga studio here, the gym. When you are a part of our Family Center, you get a free membership to utilize anything in the building. So for us to get the funding that we are getting to just upgrade and update our bathrooms and stuff like that for our pool is a great success. Also, our diaper bank. We have a diaper bank that people can come here. You don't necessarily have to be in the Family Center. You can come and just walk off the street. If you need diapers, you're able to get diapers here. That's a big success, because a lot of our families, don't have the financial needs for diapers, but the diapers are free. So that's something that we definitely are proud of. Referencing for rental assistance. When we went through COVID, we had rental assistance there that helped people that was behind on their rent because of them not being able to work or behind on their mortgage. That was a big, big, big plus for us. Our teen lead, which I've already spoken on, our teen lead has has so many advantages for these teens that are in this community. And the other thing is, I didn't mention all that. They don't have to live in this community. They can live outside of this community, surrounding communities. We supply them with bus passes, or some of them we pick them up, and some of them we get Ubers. So that's a big plus, because we're not just limited to just the area here. The collaborative events that we have with other organizations in this building is phenomenal. We always have something going on in the Kingsley Association, as far as with the Family Support Center. Our fundraisers events. We just had a sneaker ball, which we raised over $10,000. That was a major plus. And that's for, the money that we raised is for us. Our ultimate success was we had Vice President, who was going to be President, Kamala Harris, visit here this year. So that was a major, major milestone for us, and we were excited about that. Our job stableness, we'll say for our families. We try to make sure that they stay in the positions they're in. We have a career link person that comes here that assists them with jobs, resume writing, anything like that. We try to make sure that, it's the best fit for them. We don't want them to do job hopping and stuff like that. So these are, some of our successes. We had a Mother's Day event, which was amazing, a good turnout for our families and stuff like that. Next slide, please. I can say lessons learned is to always have good communication with your families. We do communicate a lot with our families based on everything that we do. Listen and understand their needs. I once was in AmeriCorps, and I was a volunteer for a Family Support Center. And that taught me a lot of value in what it meant to help the needs of somebody else, because I was young, but I was just volunteering as AmeriCorps and didn't really know too much about the Family Support Center. But after working there, after being a volunteer there, I ended up working part-time there. Then I ended up working full time there. So that taught me a lot. But I just feel like, you have to listen and understand the needs of our families, meet them where they are at, be patient. Sometimes your family may be going through a crisis that is just over the top. But I feel like if you just be patient with them, let them vent, do what they need to do, it'll bring them down. Because if they feel like that you're really interested in them and interested in what they're saying, then they'll be more respected to, okay, I know I could go to Miss Dana because I know she's going to listen to me. I've had families that be screaming my head off, and I just let them vent, because I feel like at that moment, that is what they obviously needed. And then they eventually talked themselves down from all of whatever high they was on. And then it's a respect of, well, I apologize that I was screaming at you, but it wasn't true, which I do understand that, because I feel like sometimes we need that as a person too. Sometimes you just need to vent. And if that's what they need to do, I just let them do, without anything. Respect where they are with no judgment. And, you just do the best that you could do as a resource navigator, or whatever everybody else calls themselves, to do what they need to do to help the families, because I feel like that's why we're here. My most gratification is to help the families what it is that they need as much as I can, or get them the resources to at least give them the steps that they need to take to do what they need to do. Our next steps is just to collaborate with other agencies and to continue success and programming with our families. I always want to try to be creative with programs, just to try to get families to come out, because we know that our families are different. We know that our families' needs are different. So we want to try to make sure that we meet the needs of, majority of them, or whatever it is that they need. So that's my main thing with family support. And I thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana, Joshua, and Nia, for sharing us your rich expertise and the knowledge and wisdom that you do bring. This has been such of a valuable webinar Wednesday today. We're not finished. I am going to go through a little more housekeeping, but we do want you all to stay around for our Q&A, because we know you have a lot of great questions, and our panelists would love to answer some of your questions for you, okay? So we're going to come back to our Q&A, but the National Family Support Network does provide so many more classes for you, so many more events. And so we are having our standard certification that is coming up August 22nd and 23rd. So if you want to get in on that, and even more, we have a DEI section that tells you, lets you know how do you work with families of different origin. This right here can help you expand your knowledge from today. So if you would like to register for this, register by August the 8th. We'll also have another one on September the 26th and the 27th, and we'll need you to register by September the 13th. You can go to our website at nationalfamilysupportnetwork.org and check the certification page on our website to see if your state has a network that is currently offering the training. So you can actually get some more training with the standards outside of these dates if your state is offering the training. Also, guess what? Our international virtual conference is coming up, Together for Families. It's coming up October the 22nd through the 24th. So we do have our discounted early bird registration. It ends today, but we would extend that. So go ahead and get registered. You can go to our website at togetherforfamilies.org to go ahead and get your registration. And there you'll be able to see some virtual FRCs and see what FRCs are doing all around the nation and the international as well as the domestic level. And so here's more information about me. I can be reached at 770-324-7190, or you can email me at ladonna@nationalfamilysupportnetwork.org. So we do have a couple of more questions. I wanted to get to this Q&A, and we do have a few questions that are in our Q&A section. So we'll go ahead and start and moderate those. So yes, the first question that we had was from David Bryant. And he did ask, I'm not sure if it was mentioned, but how do you all, let me make sure I get the full question. How do you all locate and find the facility that houses your Family Resource Center? And this could be both for the Liberation Center or the East Liberty. And this can apply to both FRCs represented here today. So Marcel or Dana, please feel free to bring yourself off mute and answer that question.
So I would say, you said, how do we find our center?
Yeah, how do you locate and find the facility that houses your FRC?
Okay, so with the person that initially was a grassroots person that just decided that this is something that they wanted to do, I would say because we are in the center of East Liberty and the surrounding area, everybody is around us, and the community itself is, I don't want to say a small community, but I just feel like a person needs to go somewhere that is just like that, a central location. You talk to the executive director about starting something to that effect, and then see what other funders or what other partnerships may be able to assist you in that. That is the way that the young lady did it from here. She was going to Head Start. She was in a Head Start program. She talked about it. She felt like there needed to be some other services in the community. So that's where she went. That was her initial thing. But I would suggest that as well, because when you think about, if you're in a community, and I'm saying predominantly Black, which is African-American community, and you have nothing, there's something, it may be one place in there that people idly utilize. People may go to, people may, get supplies from. I would go to that location and I would see, about, hey, is there some way we can get a family support started here? What do I need to do? Can you help me? Can you assist me? To that effect, or go to your local council person, speak with them about maybe trying to get something started. You have to start somewhere, and it can be small, because just like this young lady that, wanted it to be here, she was just going to the Head Start, and she felt like there needed to be a need. So I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, Dana. Marcel, do you have a response to this question?
Very similar to Dana, I would just say that our CEO and president always had an idea and a concept in his mind of having a one-stop shop and being able to continue the work and for having a continuum of care for all of our families and communities. And started out with Liberation Veteran Services, which turned into multiple arms within our community. And so when Families for Virginia put out the ability for us to apply for the grant to create our FRC, we applied and we were awarded the grant. So again, it goes from the idea, the grassroots, and then from there, making sure you go out to find out the funding, find out the supporters. And Dana talked about it all. Your community leaders, your city council, your mayor, anybody that you can do to be able to get behind creating the Family Resource Center. But ours really came from the visionary of our Family Resource Center, which is the president and CEO.
Thank you so much, Marcel and Dana. We do have another question that has come in, and it is, do you serve Allegheny County? So I'm not sure if that's in Virginia or from PA.
That's in PA. Yes, we do. So our center is 15206 area code, but our resource navigators have families that are, and you wouldn't know this, the distance, but in areas that are not close. So I'll say within, I'm trying to think of the furthest out. We have somebody that's way in North Versailles and in McKeesports. That's a distance from us. We do service them. The only thing about that is we have other family support centers in those areas, but sometimes if they've already been involved in our center and they move to those areas, they really don't want to leave. So and they can actually go to our center, and they can go to the center to where they actually live as well. We don't limit that. But because they've been with us, prior to them moving, or even if they move and they know about the Kingsley, that's the big thing. The Kingsley Association is huge. So they know about the Kingsley itself. They may just be coming to the Kingsley for something else, and then find out that our Family Support Center is actually located in here. And then once they get involved, they're like, oh, okay. And, I tell my resource navigators, If somebody's coming here and we do an intake on them and they are in a far distance, I do say to them, you know, do you want to ask them, would they like to go to the family center that is closest to where they live? And I'm only saying that out of convenience because of transportation. They may have kids, you know, what it may have been. But a lot of them say, well, yeah, but that's okay. They still want to stay here. They like the services we provide. They like our resources and they stay. So it is in Allegheny County. We service anybody that comes in here. Like I said, they could be at 2, 3 different family support centers. It doesn't really matter. We all do different things, but same things, but different things. But yes, it is Allegheny County.
Thank you so much, Dana. And I think this also has to do with your question. You might have answered, is 15045 a part of your service area?
Yes. I think that is 15145. I want to say if that's Glassport or Pitcairn. So yes. It's just a matter of you getting here. So my only thing is if somebody lives that far out, my concern is just worrying about them being able to come utilize the services and stuff. Now we do have a van and we do transport, we do engagements with our van. We do try to get people, like with our van service, we'll go pick them up to do pick up WIC, to pick their kid up from school, like different things like that. That's an engagement piece for us. It's just that they can come. I wouldn't limit them from coming, but I would definitely want them to try to get somewhere that's close to them, just because if they don't have transportation and, you know, we're not available all the time with the transportation. But yes, that is definitely your service area.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dana. So you're open to
welcome.
all, but that transportation can be a barrier. And I did
Yes.
think you mentioned earlier that you do provide transportation resources, but you know, you're there to support wherever they come from. And that's what's so exciting about those FRCs and all of the FRCs. We do have another question, and I think it's for either organization. So what does a recruitment look like for each organization? This person said, we partner with other community stakeholders and attend multiple community events. However, our parenting programs seem to garner less participation. So this person wants any advice and tips, you know, to help them build their numbers for their parenting program that they have.
You want to go Marcel first?
Dana, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, so our parent participation, I would say, I know originally so I've just been in this position since September, but I actually worked at the Kingsley Association. So the participation wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. I just feel like with our parents, it's more of a word of mouth of, okay, this is what we do, this is what we do. You know, a friend knows a friend. You know, we always encourage our families, tell your friend to come. We got this going on. We got that going on. We do a lot of tabling events as well to try to recruit. And again, because we are in the Kingsley and we have a desk that actually sits right downstairs, so that as people are just coming in the door, you know, they see a big sign that says Resource Center. So they're inquisitive to say, okay, what does that mean? You know, what do you help with? So that recruitment is good for us as well. Now, as far as the family part, I mean, as far as the participation for our families to participate in the events, sometimes it is challenging. It is challenging, but I always just tell my family, we just give them as much as detail as we can about what it is that we're doing and what we want them to do, because we already know it's a volunteer program. It's not something that you're forced to do, but we want them to get the best out of it. And everything that we do is about betterment of them and their children.
So Dana answered it well, which I knew she would based off of all the things she talked about with all the families that they serve in the parenting. But I would just honestly say is all about when you're thinking about naming your programming is a big deal. Sometimes when you say the word parenting in that, what we have found is just the idea that someone's going to tell me how to be a great parent just automatically creates a barrier. So if you think about creative naming, when you think about your programming, so really make something jazzy when you think about your marketing, that part. But the other part is that I think that once you build a trust with the environment of the community that you're serving, When you personally invite, so we have a whole calling campaign. So we have several ways that we communicate with our families. So not only do we send them an email, not only do we show them personally by asking would they like to attend, but we also do calls. So we have 3 parts in which we do to touch that family, even if they said yes the first time. To one, make sure they're engaged in continuation of the engagement strategy, but your communication strategy, and also doing a follow-up. Unfortunately, most of the families that we serve are in crisis. So when you're in crisis, you oftentimes forget, lose interest because of whatever life is happening. Life has been lifing for you. So it always take time to just take the family through. Let's follow up. And let's, at this event, we can help you work through where you are currently in your crisis and having that conversation. And always, I mean, the last thing I'll say, have food. If you can feed them, they show up.
Thank you so much for that, Dana. And
Of course.
Dana, did you have something else to share?
No, I was gonna say, that's right, the feeding part, yeah.
Yeah, and if you can provide those, those resources, childcare, things like that.
Yes. And we have that too, that's correct. We do have childcare. All the events that we do, we supply childcare for. So that's not a barrier, yes.
And likewise, the same thing here as well. We do the same exact thing. So oftentimes that's usually one of your big issues. We have childcare that happens for every event.
That's right.
And these are some things, but what both of you all have said are some things that we share in our standards program, the standards that, Marcel just took a couple of weeks ago. So we are so excited. So thank you for all the questions that we had coming in. I think those were all the questions that we did have. We do want to give a little bit more time, but outside of that, it is time for our evaluation. So I want you all to take a few minutes when we log off. I want you to take a few minutes to fill out the evaluation. Like I stated, that will automatically pop up on your screen when we log off. It includes questions about identifying your next steps and what we can do to support you in the future. So thank you all so very much for today's webinar Wednesday that was entitled FRCs Working with African American Families. I would like to personally thank the East Liberty Family Resource Center, as well as the Liberation Center, FRC, and all of our partners. Thank you, Nia. Thank you all so much for the community that has joined us today. Today has been wonderful, and we are looking forward to continuing. I don't think that this will be the last of us that we see, because we have so much more to pull from this. So you will see us back maybe for a part 2. I bet Dana and Joshua and Nia and Marcel and Pilar will all be willing to come back for a part 2. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much from the National Family Support Network.
Thank you.